It is story time. I just want to dive into some of the most important parts of like life and legacy is really telling the story of like who we are, the story of us. So my story, a little bit of the story time. When I joined the Navy, I was, gung ho in a way, and just I was really thrilled, like within me. I didn't realize how much military bearing I'd have to like endure, like going through boot camp. It's literally like staying awake and leading by example, and just knowing that someone's always watching you, just no matter what. It could weigh on your conscience, and it could break people, and it has broken people. Some people can handle that, but that was a big part of my story. I made inspirational speeches, and I wanted to believe that we were the best, and I wanted to believe that we had the best RDCs, and I wanted to believe that we could, be successful continuously if we continued. And so that's what I said. I said, how many, marks do we have? How many mistakes have we made? And, by week 3, I think it was like week 3 or week 4, we had zero. We had zero mistakes. We learned how to do so many things, and we never messed up. We actually succeeded. And I wanted to announce that victory. And so did my RDCs, but they're like, oh, there's just a bunch of raggedy ass recruits. And that just makes me laugh. But I have spirit, We have spirit. The spirit music, the spirit chants, Those stories, they're a part of us. It's a part of country, it's a part of leading. And taking those steps into that newness, that divinity, which I did at least. I was like, I'm going to be the best, I want to be the best, I want to lead as the best, and you might as well do it here and now. And I will consistently do that, and that's what I did. I had speeches even, later into boot camp when there's thick storms of snow and sleet and snowstorm and blizzards, and we would go to the gym. I'd be screaming, I want it, like while we were like running and doing laps, I want it. And it's true, I did, but I didn't know what I was going to expect, but I wanted it. And I only, from the entire base, like the back of my hand, or, the back of my mind. And I arrived there, and there, there's Navy sailors that run the whole thing, that are helping you, that are bringing you to the barracks, and we had to unload at the barracks and sign in, and that was a weird thing, a weird experience. Like, I was on the 3rd floor, moved into the 3rd floor, and didn't have any roommates. But I had like a next door roommate that was already there. And it was so weird. I was so tired. It felt so good to sleep in an actual bed. And did not have to be like double checked after everything, like boot camp. Like there was a sense of freedom, after just getting there. And then, we take a tour of the base the next day from the love and the goodness in the hearts of the yeomen that were at the in the barracks, or just explore yourself. And it's huge, and it was all school, clean, maintenance, being outstanding, and being clean and polished and military bearing and presentable. And it was just like that every single day. It was like preparation for school. Actually, how did I know what school I was going to? Oh, I was just like, there's the front desk, which just has so many things. And then I just discover where things are, dude. It's so weird. It's so thrilling. The beginning of school is so exciting. It's so thrilling. Like, that's what I'm so stoked about. I'm all about it. Like, I was so into the fact that, like, I'm here to, like, learn my rank. And this is what I'm going to school for. Like, it's going to be my super long school. And I started going to school, and I had, just huge amounts of paperwork and lots of material to study. Fundamentals, weather, radar. Dude, it's so funny because I know the tests and I know the material like the back of my hand. It just there's so much pressure when studying because there's like a test every week and you have a small class, maybe anywhere from 10 to 20 or 5 to 20 or 30, maybe 30, but 25 at the most. But usually like 17 kids or like 13, something like that. And sometimes, you get moved to a different class, and it just goes up the ranks, and there's like an air of stillness. There's always an air of stillness. There's always an air of like, oh, there's something that we need to be prepared for doing because this is training for actual reality, and we have instructors that are the best, and that they're also increasing ranks, and at the same time getting new positions, new jobs, and new positions throughout the base as, duty sections or duty stations sort of thing. Barrack stations or whatever it's called. I forgot what it's called, but I think it's called barrack stations, stuff like that. And it's like there's always an air of like you gotta get better. Like you gotta study. Like there's always that excellent student, or like you always want to be the excellent student, or like the best student in the class, or just like knowing the material and be able to answer the questions and stuff like that. And it's really fun. It's always new, something new the next week, and you always want to like study, and it's just so surreal having so much freedom after boot camp, being able to like eat on base in the what's it called? Gosh, I forget what it was called. In the chow hall, and the and just look around the base. It's so freaking cool. It was Florida, dude. It was Florida. So like, I went. I had fun. Like on the weekends, like I think a little bit like mid. I think like mid school, I attended the festival, the freaking hangout festival. That was so sick. Me and my roommates, or me and my buddies, we just rented a big freaking giant condo on the shore of Alabama, and just went to the hangout festival and market. I went to like the nearby bars that were there. Dude, it was surreal, dude. It was amazing. I graduated. Like, I actually graduated school, That's a cool thing. Like, a 2-year-long school crammed in 6 months, air traffic controlling, is intense, It's a good story. I mean, it's like, there's nothing more fulfilling than that. Like in my life, because there's nothing else I could compare it to. It was just like nonstop training, nonstop exercise, nonstop studying, and that was what I cared about. And people were dropping left and right, getting kicked out of the Navy left and right. People were just, getting in trouble, getting stuff put on the record, all this stuff, and like, it at a certain point, people started asking you, like, how are you, like, not getting in trouble? How are you, or it's not like they ask you that, it's just like, you're never around with all the trouble, and you never see it, and you never sense it, and you're just never around it. But it turns out it happens all the time, and that's, like, the thing about the Navy, like, that could bring stress. But there was no stress, there was the opposite of stress for me in the Navy. I'm trying to think of when I started the broadcasts. I think I started, like, the broadcast that I started doing, like, was in the Navy, like, when I don't think I did the broadcast when I was at Bravo Barracks, but when I moved to Echo, Echo Barracks, that's when I started the broadcasting, and being a radio show host, and just continuing to fight the globalists and all that stuff. And having my own whole thing, my own campaign, my own business, just to fight the globalists and stuff like that. And that was my whole focus. That was my whole life. Because when you're fighting against enemies, foreign and domestic, you, like, it's important to immediately know who your enemies are. at that time. Okay, well, and here's the thing, like, it was serious. Once I became an air traffic controller, I started working with the air traffic controllers that were going into the fleet and training those air traffic controllers. Basically, being an air traffic controller instructor to the future air traffic controllers. Basically, and so basically, like, you get to know, you just get to know the equipment, you get to know the pace, and you get to know each other, like, very well. And we're so, like, it's interesting, it's a different type of close. It's a different type of connection that you have, with your team. But it's your team, you guys we're always there for each other. And it's interesting because every conversation is like, oh, we're always there for each other. Like, we have each other's backs. Like, we are here for one another. And it's the weirdest thing because it's just we have these bonds and these, like, Navy bonds. There's Navy bonds, like military bonds that are just last forever. And there's nothing as precious as it, we get so close to the students, and we get so close to the instructors and to the staff. Oh, it's so precious, dude. Like, it's amazing. Like, amazing stories that went on in CATSI was just like the joy of succeeding, the agony of the frustration of just like failure, of just not succeeding in doing a solid enough job with air traffic control, and not executing every mission, or not executing everything as well as we could have. And it's interesting because, like, as time went on, I became a better air traffic controller, and it became more and more fluid with the air traffic control movements. And it's interesting, I just became more and more and more fluid, and I pay attention more and to more things, and I'm able to listen and take action and multitask. I can be able to do multiple things at once. And I met really great people. I met so many great people. I've seen so many graduations. As the months went by, I was continuing to be trained, and I was living in the Echo Barracks and starting my businesses in late 2016. Like, after September, like, that's when like I moved to Echo Barracks and my life changed a little bit more. It was more, less seriousness about school, but more seriousness about the actual work and occupation. And then I got, like, really into health and my workout routines, and I was doing CrossFit, and I was running like a madman. I don't even know if I could run the way that I was able to run. I can still kind of run the way that I ran then, but, like, I was crazy. I'd wake up every morning and go to the beach and just run on the sand. And I was so slow. It's because it's so exhausting to pick up your feet on the sand. But I'd jog, I'd run. I'd actually run. I'd jog, and then I'd run, and then I'd jog, and then I'd run, then I'd jog and run. And I'd alternate pace. And I'd just do that until I could run longer and longer and longer, and had more and more stamina and more adrenaline and more endurance. And then I would run, and then I would sing. Or I would sing and run. And then I would do that until I had more and more endurance. And this would be going on for hours. I'd be running for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours straight. In the morning, obviously, I wasn't running for 3 hours straight because, I got work at 7 or 6. But, I'd wake up at 3 or 4, and then go out for a run, listen to music, and just keep going. And then I'd have weights on my arms, weights on my wrists, and weights on my ankles. I started with 5-pound weights on my ankles, and then 10-pound weights on my ankles, like, I think a week or 2 weeks later. And then, just kept on increasing every 2 weeks. I had, like, eventually 20 pounds on each leg and then 20 pounds on each arm. And I would just run, like, 16 kilometers a day, like, every day. Like, well, that wasn't until, like, 2017. But I was just, like, I was so mentally focused that I was just being trained in my own schedule. And I had friends that, went off into the fleet and stuff. I have new roommates. I still have their contact information. I could text them sometimes, but like they're going off to the fleet, or I just go to the USO and just hang out with the guys there. I love the USO so much. There's a special place in my heart for the USO. There's a special place in my heart, like, for that environment, for that place, and I love it, dude. Like, I'd want, I'd, I know, well, it's, I'd want people to join the Navy just, like, for the USO, so they get that experience, so they can know what that love is like, that family, organization is like. It's great. I should go into more detail about it, but I'm not. So, there's dozens of graduations. I've been at so many graduations, and I've seen so many different air traffic controllers, young and old, tall and short, large and thin, all shapes and sizes, all customs and cultures. Like, go through so many, from different countries, different accents. So much fun, dude. Like, and we'd laugh so much too. Sometimes we laugh so hard, and we also yell. And it's interesting. Like, sometimes we like yell at one another, but like, that's who we are. That's we get close. Sometimes we just snap at one another, but I kid you not. Like, the intensity always increased. There's always officers. Well, not always officers, but there's officers around. And there's it's pretty much the same thing, but officers from the ships and officers from the fleet, that are, and pilots, and our own sort of faculty and staff that we had, that we have that is experienced at in Florida. It's a beautiful sort of experience. It's a beautiful thing. Being able to, like, communicate in the way that we did. And, and we had fun. We had a lot of fun. I remember, we'd exercise together too, and we'd work out together, like, as a team. Do everything as a team. It's so cool. Then lunchtime would be every day. And then, we'd be free during the weekend. And I would love. I was so busy with CSAT, it's ridiculous. Like, all my time was taken up with activities and leaderships and developments and meetings. And I was so hardcore working all the time, literally bed at 12, up at 3, up at 4, bed at 12, up at 4, bed at 12, or bed at 11 if I was lucky, or bed at 10 if I was lucky. If I didn't have to study or didn't have, like, homework or something like that, because there was homework, at times there was homework. When I had homework during those days. And, there was rain, it would rain, and it would pour, and I'd run in the rain sometimes, but, like, on the weekends, like, I'd either be doing CSAT events or I'd go kayaking. It's my favorite pastime. It's one of my favorite pastimes in the entire world. In the entire world is to kayak. Is to, like, that's, like, what I did. That's my story. Like, I would go, spend $5 to rent a kayak, or I think it was like $10 or something like that to rent a kayak, and then I'd get, like, a 12-pack or a 6-pack, or I'd bring my own, and I'd get my backpack. I'd get the kayak, and I'd kayak all the way to, like, this island. I kayaked to this island that was in Florida, in this bay area, and I would read, or I just walk among the island, or I would just sit in the water, and I love sitting in the water and just having the fish nibble on my toes and just, like, clean my feet, and it was the most miraculous thing ever. It was so precious to me. And I would sing as loud as I possibly could, just totally just singing Zac Brown Band and country music. because I was so happy. I was so overjoyed. Like, I expressed my energy. I expressed myself. I expressed my love for everything, for who I am, for the greatness I am, and I celebrated myself. I celebrated the great leader that I am, because no one's going to tell me, that I'm a great president or a great vice president of CSAD. No one's going to tell me that. Or even though that did happen, they did tell me that. But, like, I'm the one who has to tell myself that. Like, I'm the one who says, like, I made it this far, and I did that, like, almost every weekend. Sometimes 2 days in a row. I just kayak all over the water, all over the bay. And then I'd return the kayak and, go back to the barracks, or I'd go to the movies. I saw a few movies. Or I'd go out to dinner. That's one of my favorite things to do. Go out to eat at the mall area, or watch movies at the movie theater. Have something to drink, eat, go to Applebee's and then go to the movies. That I only did that once, but it's a good tradition. I went to I think it's called Black Angus, but it might not be. But I went to like a steak place, had some delicious medium rare steak, or maybe it was rare. Had some mules. I'm starting to realize how brave I really was and how much fun it actually was. I probably couldn't have done it any sooner than that. But, like, I was 23, and I was 22, 23 at that time, 24, 25, 24, 23. Yeah, I was like, 22 going on 23 and 23 going on 24 at that time. And I was, 2017. It was a big year. Like, I don't think I could have done the things I could have done at any younger age. I ate so much food. I just would go to work till lunchtime, literally sprint to the dining hall and then sprint back, usually with food in hand, and then eat up at the schoolhouse, and then, continue work until it was Liberty, and then have Liberty. And, like, Liberty, like, that was my job. I'd work in the morning, talk to planes, have like 3 or 4 runs, 5 runs if we're lucky, 6 runs maybe if we're lucky. Then come back in the afternoon, have 1 or 2, 3 runs if we're lucky. Then sometimes we'll stay for teams. That would be to like 6 or 7, 8 sometimes, just running the simulator. Running training over and over. Just training the ship's teams, training different shifts of the ship team, different positions, and I like after work was done, it was freedom. It was pure freedom. But I would always go back to my barracks and change and then go to the gym. I would always go to the gym. Because I had like a lot of whey protein. I would always go to the gym, and I had like a lot of endurance. And I would work out pretty hard. And I would swim sometimes, I think I had goggles. And I'd go swimming, and I'd go to the sauna, and I'd cherish myself. Like, I was really healthy, actually. I worked out a lot, and I'd work out all day. I would be there until it closed. Or, I'd be there till it almost closed, and then I'd watch a movie. But usually I just watch a movie. I usually watch movies at Portside Movie Theater. I watched Wonder Woman there. This one that came out. That other movie, Beautiful or something like that. It's so trippy now that I think about it. I remember 4th of July in Pensacola. It was beautiful. But I would work out like for hours and just doing CrossFit, doing push-ups, doing sit-ups, jump roping for hours on end with the weights on my legs. Just jumping rope. And I'd go through jump ropes because I break them so easily. And I just work out. I'd run. I was fit. I bought a lot of like workout. I spent a lot of money on workout supplies and on Infowars Life and on it gear or on it products, Infowars Life products, Infowars products. I was doing so many things too outside of the Navy. It was ridiculous. But like that was my favorite thing to do, was to work out like all day in the gym. I'd work out from whenever Liberty was, I think it was like 5 all the way to like closing at 10 or something like that. And just work out for hours and just be in the gym for such a long time. And then I'd take a shower or I'd take a shower at home with my own shower that I was clean and spick and span in my own room. It was so crazy, dude. It was so crazy. And I was going to school, too. And that's when I started my extra-political career. And I started my extra-political career and my ambassadorship somewhat at the same time. But I went to school first, and then by the time, I was attending my... anyway, I was going to school, and, like, it was so cool. Like, I literally got into exopolitics, and I thought about, like, how cool this is. And, of course, I was asking questions, like, I want to know about Solar Warden, and I want to know about spaceships and starcraft and spacecraft and motherships. I want to know about all that. And I wanted to see, like, the beauty of just life, I want to see the beauty of life. I don't know what I was talking about, but I totally lost my train of thought. But I'd work out. I'd go to the gym and go to the pool. It's a nice long walk. I sometimes go to the other far side, port side gym. I explored the campus. I went to the museum. Hosted so many events. Football events, sports events. Just for, like, the CSAT and for whoever wanted to participate. So many CSAT events, so many cookouts, so many, like, barbecues with, like, sometimes we had chicken, too. Like, it was really good. We had hot dogs and burgers and, oh my God, it was so crazy. Like, I was in charge of all that. And it's just every week. And it was so insane, dude. I worked so freaking hard. To sustain that stuff. And I really cared about the Navy. I really cared about the Marines and the Air Force. I really cared about, like, being the guy who can unify everybody in that way. And that was cool to me. And I'd never done it before, but, I was taking that step forward in uniqueness and humility. But most importantly, I knew that I wasn't going to convince people that, that there's extraterrestrials and that, there's a galaxy out there. And I knew that because I would talk to people about it. And I knew that no matter what I said, they wouldn't necessarily believe that I was on their side. And they wouldn't believe that there's an actual cabal that wasn't on their side. And I fought viciously. I fought hard. I fought alone. It felt very alone, being trained in exopolitics, going to school for exopolitics and studying about all these subjects, all these beings, the history of the galaxy, the types of implications of citizen diplomacy with extraterrestrials, and diplomacy with extraterrestrials, and contact with extraterrestrials, and just the acknowledgement of the existence with it. Like, no one believed me, and I was going to school for it, It's like going to school for math and nobody believing you when you explain to them an equation. It's very eye-opening, It was very eye-opening for me. I never experienced anything like that. I'd never been shunned for telling the truth. I'd never worked, and it wasn't like I was shunned. It's just I never worked so hard for something that I believed in myself as, like, the leader of this movement that I was inspired by. Like, I wanted to combine, and I was inspired to not only write newspapers and write papers and start my own business and start petitions and have like an investment portfolio and so many things that I don't even know. The truth is, I don't even know how hard I worked. I don't even remember all the things that I did. Freaking walking everywhere, trying to get signatures for to have like a peace treaty between at least America and Agartha. I wanted a peace treaty so that we can trade and have a flourishing economy. And I worked so hard for that. I got signatures, and I made a petition. That's what I was doing. That's what I was advocating for. That's what I was fighting hard for. Like, that's what I was doing at that time. And dude, that petition meant so much to me. There's so many other things too. So many other things, but I just became a leader, and I've been inspired by my own tenacity. I was like, I am that leader. I am like, fighting for my country. I am defending the country, and I know who the enemy is. I know the enemy's the cabal. I know it's not humanity, and it was just, I'd have so much fun. Like, it was funny, like, certain times, like around the time when I was like thick into my broadcasting networks and like really into, like, when I was in like the thick of it, I was jolly, I'd just be in my room. I think I brought my Wii U from New York or something like that, or maybe I bought one, don't quite remember. But I had a Wii U, and I played Super Smash, which helped me get really good at air traffic controlling, and I sometimes play Super Smash, and I drink, and I just, be laughing and having a good time. And it's fun, and I'm just kind of like talking about the story in general. But there was one day, I was laughing so hard. I was literally laughing for probably about 45 minutes straight, because, I was just so happy, That's the kind of bliss that I live in. That's the bliss I live in. And so my roommate got viciously mad. He got so mad, and he was like threatening to punch me and hit me. And, just knowing that, I'm not the enemy, but like he was so obsessed with wanting to hit me, I just thought that was like I wasn't laughing at him, but I just thought it was funny. Like, I am just beaming joy, and I deserve it. And there's nothing that anyone will ever do to understand it. No one will ever understand the joy that I feel. No one will ever understand the joy that I felt. No one. Because I tried so hard to tell them. I tried so hard to let them know. I mean, I'm existing in bliss, like, at all times, It was so much fun. I'd just be laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. And it's just endless amounts of joy in life. And it just, like, I was just raising into higher and higher vibrations, and things were just feeling better and better, and I just didn't understand. Like, he was just getting more and more miserable. He just hated me. He just, my roommate did not like me at all. And he just started being super rude to me, and just never really, we never became as close as we were when we first met. And when we were first hanging out, it was, it was good times. Like, I love, I was reading, dude, I was working a lot during that time. During that time, I think I was mostly just working on the broadcast, and I don't think I had already finished my thesis, I think. And I was working on publishing books, and I think I had some, oh, snap, I remember. I was working on artwork, and anyway, I was hiring freelancers and doing a whole bunch of stuff, and hiring people for my business, and having projects and side projects and stuff like that. So That's what I distract myself with. And that was my thing, I didn't really go to the gun range. I didn't, you know, I didn't really go jet skiing. I didn't really, well, I went to Portside. I definitely went to the bar and went to play video games. I spent hours, I'm not gonna lie, I spent hours playing video games. It was so much fun. Okay, that was one of the greatest things in the world. Oh, of course, we also watched the fights, and that was a big deal. The McGregor and, oh, dude, people are gonna get so mad at me for this. I don't remember his name. Oh, freaking A. Holy crap. Well, you know what I'm talking about. So that fight, that was huge. That was a big deal. It was packed. The Portside was packed, like upstairs and downstairs, all screens, on. It was so loud. That was a good time. That was a good fight. But anyway, that's what I would do. I'd go to the bar, go back and forth between the bar and the video game area, and it was so nice. Or I'd sometimes be on the computer, doing tons and tons of work and papers for my company, for my business, and all that stuff. But I would, sometimes when I was in the room, because that was attached to the video game part. But yeah, I'd play like Soul Calibur sometimes with other sailors, younger sailors sometimes too. That was pretty cool. It's pretty. It was like I was kind of like in the middle, I'd say. There's like 19-year-olds and then all the way up to like 30-year-olds. But like I'd say it was like, I was right in the middle. It's kind of a mean or a median age or whatever. I didn't really pay that much attention. I played Deadpool, but I mostly played Dark Souls 2 and Thor. And what else did I play? Oh, I played Far Cry. I played Far Cry so much in the USO, and I played Doom so much in the USO. That was so much fun. Dude, I would be singing. I would sing. I'd be singing rap songs. I didn't quite know the words to it. I was into Tech 9. I just started getting into rap, and What's It Called came out during that time. And I just thought it was so catchy. And I was so into it. I was like, this is freaking, like, funny. This is great lyrics. I love this. It's hilarious. That was Something Else. No. It was Godspeed. The Godspeed album. So it was really cool. I would also, I just listened to that music. I'd be on my bed listening to the music. It was good. It was really good. And I'd meditate too. I practiced the standing meditation. And I was very zen. I was reading Hindi, and I was reading Sanskrit and reading the Bhagavad Gita. I'm probably pronounced that wrong. And reading other writings, just having to do with learning about peace and the inner self. But mostly the Bhagavad Gita. I'd read that. I read the whole thing, and then I'd reread it every day. I'd reread, do chapters every day until I memorized it, or until I memorized what I thought it meant to me, sort of thing. I just keep reading, and I read it over and over, and I print out the papers and I post it on my wall, and then I inspire myself with superpowers. I just printed out a list of superpowers, and I highlighted the ones that I thought I completed or that I accomplished, which sounds like something straight out of Shazam, because I am that awesome, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. And I would highlight that stuff, and I had a plant in my room, I had cacti, and, I had ivy at first, and it eventually, was smelling like a pneumonia, and I had to get rid of it. But, at the same time, it was precious, That moment where I took and that's a big story too, that moment where I took that plant, and I, I walked all the way to the beach to plant it. It's kind of like remember the fallen soldiers. Remember the POWs, and the MIAs. Remember them. It was I didn't want to cry, and I didn't really cry. I don't think I cried, but like, it's that's always there. It's always there. The fact that there's prisoners of war or the ones that are missing in action. We gotta support them. And there was a truck that would always drive around, and it just seemed like the entire universe was quiet when the truck was driving. That's just however it was. And so, like, I would have plants in my room. Like, towards the end of my career, I'd have cacti, but I had, the same type of plants that are in my backyard now. And it's so special. I believe that, like, I earned that plant in the Navy, and I want to take it home with me, but, it ends up being here, and that's so precious to me, that type of plant. I forgot the name, but, it doesn't require too much water, and, it survives. It's survivable. It's a sturdy, strong plant. It doesn't need too much sunlight. So, but anyway, I'd read the bug. I spent so much time doing that, So that was my life. I mean, I went to the island next to Pensacola. Well, it was still Pensacola, but I went to the bridge, across the bridge, and then there's like a movie theater, I think. There's restaurants, Hooters. I went to Hooters, had some wings with one of my barrack mates at the time on the floor. I remember ordering sushi too. I remember ordering Wingstop several times. I remember ordering sushi. I love sushi. I love sushi, dude. I'd have so much sushi. I'd have like tsunami rolls. I'd have like freaking eel don, or I think that's what it's called. Unagi don. I think that's what it's called. Eel with like rice on a bed of rice. I'd have assorted fish on a bed of rice, dude. It was so good. Miso soup, fish eggs. Ooh, and that's also what I would do. On the weekends, I'd go to Sky Zone, and I'd freaking flip and jump until I could hardly walk. And that was my work. That was my life. That was like, it was so much fun to me. I would just be drinking and eating at the sushi restaurant, and then I just like walk a block, and then go to Sky Zone, and then work out, and then I forgot how I got back home. I think I just take a taxi. Yeah, I took the taxi. Taxi was a big thing. Taxiing is a big thing in Florida, and I just take a taxi back, or sometimes be with my friends, but rarely. But I hung out with this air traffic controller. I had friends in the Navy I spent a lot of time with. We did a lot of things together. And I was super into drum corps, of course, music. And that's like what inspired me to do so many things for music. Like, that's what inspired me to do, to create Project Vocal Earthshake, was the fact that I was so into music. Like, and I was best friends with a drummer who's into drum corps too, and was an air traffic controller. And, I just got into all that jazz, I was really into whatever it's called. What is it called? Drum corps. I was really into drum corps, and therefore, I created Project Vocal Earthshake. And I was like, that's why I love it so much. Like, I want to, celebrate that joy of it. So, I did. I did so many things. It's so cool. I never got in trouble or anything like that. But anyway, like, I would just be in Sky Zone and just work out on the weekends, and I go to the museum sometimes. When I'd go to the shore, as I mentioned already before, the bay where you can kayak and canoe. I don't know if they had canoes, but they had kayaks, they had paddle boards, and stuff like that. Maybe they had canoes. But anyway, like, it was so surreal, dude. It meant so much to me, dude. And like I worked so hard. I worked so insanely hard, and I became like peaceful and zenful, like in my mind. And dude, I was doing so many things. I just love to like get drunk and then talk with my fellow sailors. Just hang out with them, make random friends, and also make random promises. I was like, when I become rich and famous, I'm creating a yacht, and you guys are all invited on my yacht. We'll just continue the fleetness. And so I would just like, I'd be in the military, and then I eventually got so. I tried to keep climbing, I was like, I want to be a 8, 9, or 10-star admiral. I just wanted to keep climbing, and then I broke my leg, and then I wasn't in the Navy anymore. Then finished finished my contract. Went to the state of Florida, or went back to the state of New York, I think. Maybe I went to Chicago and then New York, but I think I went straight to New York. No, I went straight to New York. Go straight to New York, and I can't believe I didn't finish this. Anyway, I didn't finish the meal that I was eating. Anyway, I went all the way to New York, and